I did a video once comparing my Fenix 5X Plus to my Apple Watch Series 4, and I was really disappointed with the speed and accuracy of the optical heart rate sensor on the 5X compared to the Apple Watch Series 4, being that the 5X Plus was twice the cost of the Apple Watch Series 4. I waited to purchase this Fenix 6X Sapphire after returning the 5X Plus because I was so unhappy with it. And overall, I am pretty pleased, but I wanted to let you guys know about one major bug that hasn't been fixed by Garmin yet. If you are into the outdoors, you definitely should be aware of this. I've had a lot of time to test this watch. I've had it since August, and I've had 2 models of it, and I also have messed around with the Fenix 6, the basic model, without topo maps, the extra battery life, and the sapphire glass. And what I can tell you is that it's definitely a step up in terms of heart rate accuracy with their new, I think they call it an Elevate sensor, but it still isn't quite as good as an Apple Watch, which is really just so remarkable to me. There's still more of a delay. It's less accurate when compared to the chest strap by maybe 1 or 2 beats. It's off, whereas the Apple Watch Series 4 and 5 are pretty much spot on to the chest strap once it catches it. And it's just amazing what they did with that. I don't know what's so different, but Garmin isn't there yet. But they're getting closer. They're getting closer. I would not say that this watch is for the high-intensity interval athlete either. The Apple Watch will suit you much better if that's the type of training you do. But damn, this watch with the maps and the battery life, it's quite extraordinary. And coming from an Apple Watch and even my old Fenix, I'm impressed by that. I'm really impressed by it. The quality of the display is better. It's a higher pixel density, and it just is easier to look at and see when you're training. The main gripe that I have with this watch is using the hiking activity app and the inability for this watch to accurately track your heart rate in the hiking activity app specifically. Your heart rate will never breach 100 to 110 beats per minute at most, despite your best efforts. Despite the reality that your heart rate might be 160 or 170, there is a bug in the Hike app, and this watch cannot properly reflect what your heart rate is doing. Anytime you do a hike, you will have to log it as a different activity. I choose to log it as a trail run. I stumbled upon this after my first hike with it. I was like, this is unusual. Thought maybe it was just the positioning or something like that, but it's a bug. I got on my bike, right, and I selected the activity to hike instead of bike because I didn't have this issue on the indoor bike. And I did a 10-minute session of just all-out intervals, and this thing never cracked 90 beats per minute. My heart rate was in the mid to high 170s every time I hit the peak of the interval. It's very disappointing. I then retested it in a different way by going outside, starting a hike activity, and then doing hill repeats over a quarter-mile hill. Once again, 80 beats per minute when I was actually at 160 to 170. And I'll probably throw in some footage of some tests I did with the Apple Watch, running the streets of the city and seeing the exact same thing basically happening. I was told by Garmin after I brought this to their attention that they tested this after I talked to them. They tested it while I was on the phone with them, and they said that they noticed that it was doing this. They said that it wasn't happening on the Fenix 6. So what I did was I picked one up to test it out myself, and it turns out that they're being honest about it. The Fenix 6, for whatever reason, the smaller one, without the sapphire glass, without the GPS maps, it has a slightly wider diameter optical heart rate sensor. It might be different. There might be a different way the software operates. It does accurately reflect the heart rate when you're hiking, and even if I put the hiking app on and activate it and do hill repeats, my heart rate will climb and it will show that. That doesn't happen on the larger Fenix 6X Sapphire. So you should take that into consideration before you pick this up because it's so expensive. I know that if you're thinking about buying a watch like this, you're probably somewhat obsessed with data and maybe gauging your fitness and seeing how that changes over time, especially if you're preparing to do, a long hike or something like that. You're going to have to use a chest strap. Garmin didn't tell me when they're going to fix it. They said that they were aware of the issue and 40 other people reported this issue. They said that it's currently being investigated. I've had this watch since August of 2019 and it's still doing that. That's a long time. We're going on 6 months now and it's still not fixed, and they're adding other features into their future software updates that I think aren't as important, and I believe that this should be prioritized, but for whatever reason they're not prioritizing it. So if you're gonna buy this, you got to think about that. Other than that, the watch is dope. It's pretty thick compared to most watches, and I do find that it catches a little bit on some of the clothing that I wear, but that's really my only gripe. If it weren't for the hiking app, I would accept the fact that it's a little bit slower to catch the heart rate than an Apple Watch, but because it has the most incredible maps built in and battery life and all these other things, that they're just a slight inadequacy in heart rate readings would be acceptable and almost forgivable. I see it as maybe growing pains with them. It's really not that far off from a chest strap during, let's say, an indoor cycling workout. Once it gets warmed up, it takes maybe 2 minutes before it'll catch your heart rate, but once it's there, it's only ever 1 or 2 beats off, which isn't bad in my opinion at all. It's just, again, when you try and log a hike, it's useless information. So if you can figure out the workaround, which I have, and that's to log it as a different activity, like a trail run, it mostly solves the issue, but it'd be nice for it to work as advertised right out of the box. And I think you guys should know that before you pick one of these up. I will also attach some videos showing you what I'm talking about after this. All right. Good luck with whatever you choose. Bye-bye.